So yes, just to emphasise, I was asked to do this presentation yesterday afternoon, so you have to cut me a lot of slack when it comes to primitive slides, and certainly far from polished delivery and substance. But I thought it was worth bringing out some of the key messages that I think are important to articulate, and really what I've learned since I took on this job, because I haven't come from academia. I did a PhD, but I don't think that quite counts. So really, it's been a learning process for me. And one of the areas that I've found most interesting, actually, is the whole area of innovation and knowledge transfer. And the more I find out about the fantastic inventions, collaborations with industry, the more fascinating and important I find it, actually. So I thought I'd just share some of that with you. Let's see, does that work for the first slide? No, because that's not the right mechanism. Sorry, just bear with me. I think should go. There we go, there we go. Now, there's a myth that does the rounds, and you often hear it from politicians, even from the great Nick Clegg, I have to say. And the line is that the UK is fantastic at research, and we welcome that, but we're not very good at translating that research into innovations, palpable products. You often hear it in speeches by Lord Mandelson, and I often try and take him up and his civil servants take that issue up with him and them. I'm always very grateful to David Sainsbury, because he always challenges this point. So what are we saying here? Well, we are certainly very good at research, and I can bore you to death with the figures on that. I'll just give you one. The UK has 1% of the world's population, but earns 12% of international citations. So we are doing extremely well, but we're certainly not bad at all at working with business and at knowledge transfer. I'll give you a few facts and figures on that at the risk of bombarding you a little bit, but I think some facts and figures are often quite welcome and sobering. But universities generally generate about £45 billion in output and provide 2.5% of employment in this country. I mean, that's actually huge. The NHS, of course, is bigger, but we're huge. In 2007, there were over 590 university spin-out companies in the UK, attracting about 12% of all venture capital in the UK. Now, how does that break down with the Russell Group? Excuse me if I do refer to the Russell Group quite a bit, but we have obviously compiled more figures relating to Russell Group universities. So of those 590 spin-outs, Russell Group universities accounted for about 400 of them. And a sample of 10 Russell Group universities showed that all but one had a higher venturing efficiency than two major research-led US institutions chosen by that sample. And I think that's just worth bringing out, because, again, there's an assumption that the US is much better than we are at this. And in fact, I mean, we can have endless arguments about how many spin-outs and do they actually survive, etc. But on the whole, I think we're doing very well. And I think the key point is that the success has been achieved in a remarkably short time. So just to give you some facts and figures about that, some of which are up on the slide, private income to higher education increased by more than 50% between 1995 and 2004. And between 2001 and 2004, the total value of business contracts obtained by universities doubled. Again, huge changes. Breaking it down for the Russell Group, our universities earned over £1 billion from research in partnership from business this year, or 2008 to 9 actually, and that was an increase of 14% over the previous year. So again, you can see quite marked step changes. Again, final figure on this, there's been a 25% increase in total Russell Group income from knowledge exchange activities between 2004 and 2008. Again, I think just real progress. Now, I'm going to take a step back and ask, well, what do we actually mean by, there's a whole group of words really, innovation, knowledge transfer, economic impact. And I think the reason why I'm stepping back and looking at this is because I think there's often an assumption that we're only talking about spin-out companies, when in fact I think it's just really important to recognise the whole range of activities that contribute substantially to innovation and knowledge transfer. Just taking the first one, I mean, that's classically working in partnership with business on research that would be regarded as fundamental research in nature, where the business partner can recognise long-term potential to address its own needs. And I'm just going to litter some of these points with examples that I find particularly impressive. So there is, for example, the GlaxoSmithKline sponsored clinical imaging centre at Imperial College, and that's a multi-million-pound collaboration. And it's created a world-leading facility drawing on the research expertise of Imperial College. And the centre is equipped with state-of-the-art scanning and imaging facilities. Now, this enables scientists to improve their understanding of some of the world's most serious diseases. And actually, this is going to sound like a horrible plug, but I don't think it counts as a plug because I'm not charging for this pamphlet. This is a document, a report we published very recently, which has taken a while to compile because it's got so much information about it's part one, actually. I was going to say all the different kinds. It sets out all these different kinds of collaborations and gives lots of facts and figures and gives lots of case studies, which I think really bring what we're talking about to life. So if anyone does want one, as I said, we don't charge, just get in contact with me or my office. And a number of major companies have co-located their research laboratories or research staff now alongside research-intensive universities, precisely so their researchers can work very closely with academics. Access to state-of-the-art research equipment is one of the real motivating factors. So, for example, Toshiba and Microsoft both have invested in major research labs within departments in the University of Cambridge. And the UK derives significant economic benefit from this co-location. And other countries are trying to replicate this cluster effect. Of course, we, to a large extent, did try and copy the US in terms of MIT and some of the clusters there. But if you look at the EU now, they're trying to replicate the cluster effect with the knowledge and innovation clusters. And it's been adopted not just by the manufacturing companies, but also by companies in the service sector. Again, there seems to be just an assumption that we are talking about very high-tech manufacturing, heavy industry type companies. But another example of what I'm talking about is the Oxford Mann Institute of Quantitative Finance, which is in Oxford and is a collaboration with the Mann Group. Another type of collaboration is, of course, the kind of collaboration which is concerned with companies or helping companies to find new ways of addressing challenges which are nearer to market. Again, some really interesting activity going on here. I'll just give you one example of the environmentally friendly engine project. And that's a big collaboration, not just with industry, but within the academic community between the universities of Birmingham, Cambridge, Sheffield, and Queen's Belfast. And as the name suggests, it's aiming to deliver significant improvements in air travel efficiency and in the environmental impact of that. And that's in partnership with, as you'd expect, Rolls-Royce, but also the Technology Strategy Board.